Hello.
வீடியோ போடல அவங்க போடல
சார் வணக்கம். நான் லைன்ல ஜாயின் பண்ணிட்டேன் சார். எல்லாருக்கும் வணக்கம் சார்.
நானும் ஜாயின் பண்ணேன் சார். நானும் ஜாயின் பண்ணிட்டேன்.
வீடியோ ஆன் பண்ணுமா?
வீடியோ ஆன் பண்ணுமா?
ஆ
அச்சச்சோ, ஒரே நிமிஷம்.
இதுக்குதான் பார்த்தேன்.
ஓம் பிரம்மா குரு விஷ்ணு தேவோ மகேஸ்வர குரு சாட்சாத் பரபிரம்மா தஸ்மை ஸ்ரீ குரவே நமः. The last class we saw the first 5 verses of the chapter 5. So first verse we saw that Krishna just woke up from his very bad dream and he's in an agitated state, not understanding which is right, either Grihastha sannyasa or sannyasa. So renunciation of action is sannyasa, full renunciation in action is Grihastha sannyasa. So 2 different exercises that cannot be practiced simultaneously. It is 2 different ways that need to be practiced separately. Then, why is Grihastha Jnani is very important? Because we all are born with specific vasanas and karmas. To work them out, we need to be in a Grihastha life where we have to do karmas. Because basically a man, he acts according to his desires. So what are his desires? Eating food, and whatever that comes to his mind, he acts accordingly. But a jnani is a person where his mind is in a equanimous state where nothing affects him. So to a person to attain that particular state of mind, he needs to be in the Grihastha life where he can perform the karmas. By performing the karmas, he will get over the vasanas that he's been attached with. When that maturity comes, naturally he'll go into the state of meditation. And that is what happens with the Grihastha Jnani. So a sannyasi, that is the pairs of opposites like likes or dislikes, joy, sorrow, all those are what normal humans are attached with. But whereas for a sannyasi, success, failure, joy, sorrow, likes and dislikes, nothing appeals him. He is above all that. And when that person is one who can become a jnani, and he is a sannyasa jnani. But to that, he has to perform certain particular kind of karmas to achieve that state. That is why Krishna says, Grihastha Jnani, being a Grihastha is very important. But being a sannyasi, is not very easy for you to get over these pairs of opposites. And then we can see 2 examples in the picture. One, a man being alone, the other man being with the family. This person is alone, he does all his karma, but he doesn't perform the karmas what Grihastha Jnani performs. But he's a sannyasi, there he stays alone, he takes care of everything, he takes care of himself and everything. But here this person lives with the family, even then he follows the karma, he does everything dutifully. But end of it, what happens? Both the sannyasi jnani and the Grihastha jnani, they attain jnanam. But it does not mean this kind of life only leads to jnanam. Being a sannyasi alone can lead to jnanam. Even a Grihastha jnani can also attain jnanam living in a family situation. So Sankhya Yoga, that is Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga purifies the intellect, and meditation is Sankhya, through which alone jnanam is attained. It can be anywhere. You can be a sannyasa jnani or a Grihastha jnani, but end of it is what? Meditation, and that is what leads you to jnana. And from this onwards, let's go to the verse 6. Sanyasastu Mahabaho
Sanyasastu mahabaho
dukkam aptumaya yogataha
dukkam maya yogataha
yoga yukto munir brahma
yoga yukto muni brahma
na chirena gadi achati.
nachirena vigacchati.
O Arjuna, sannyasa is difficult to attain without karma yoga, but the devout karma yogi attains Brahman before long. So, self-discovery, self-knowledge, realizing the self is what actually attaining self-knowledge, attaining jnanam is. So, without performance of action, the renunciation of action is impossible. And to thwart one's hopes and ambition is not renunciation. What basically people think that I'm sacrificing my ambition, I'm giving away my hope, I'm doing this for my child. That does not give jnana. That is you sacrificing yourself for the sake of the family or your friends or for the work. That does not give you jnana. Basically, the renunciation of action. Action is doing everything, being attached to anything in life. You renouncing your ambition or your hope is just your renouncing, it is not renouncing the action. You're not renouncing the attachment. You're still attached to the people who are with you. That is why you're renouncing that action. But that should not be there. That renouncing of action should be renouncing of attachment. So only then self-discovery, self-knowledge, and realizing the self will happen. You find a metal pot which is oxidized. What we do, we apply the polish, wait for some time, and when you rub the polish off, the metal shines. That is what jnanam is. Because in a karma yoga, we perform the karmas. The karmas is what that polishes the inner mind, the intellect that is within us. So when that polishes, that is when we attain jnana. So purification of mind happens only by the process of right action. One who is free from their vasanas and their effects are the ones with purified mind. Only a person with purified mind can perform deeper meditation. It is a technique through self-growth we attain self-development. So what happens? You do not do action, but you become a sannyasi. You become a sannyasa jnani. What happens? Only physical part will remain in action, whereas your mind will not be matured enough to attain jnana. It will be in action. That is what here they are trying to explain us. That is both physically, what the physical action we perform should bring us a kind of mind where we renounce the attachments, we renounce everything that is around us, and equanimity is arrived in your mind where your mind is polished, free, pure for you to attain jnana. I was reading one particular book that said, even the birth, you're born into this world, that is to work your karmas out. So renouncing your karmas and going somewhere else and performing, sitting in meditation and performing will not give you jnana. So yoga yukta. Who is a yoga yukta? A person should be well established in the path of selfless, unattached activities. So karma followed diligently through renunciation of his control over life and ability to influence his thoughts and actions. That is, his karmas are like, that is what controls his life. See, everything, he thinks he's the one who is doing everything. So he is in control of everything that is happening in his life. So basically, that person should renounce that, or through detachment from the fruits of his action. So any work, any karma we perform, what do we expect? We expect a fruit of action in the end of the karma we perform. So when that attachment, that detachment happens, that person mind becomes purified. So that person develops a single pointedness of mind. So that person is called yogi. And he is the one who is fit for continuous and fruitful meditation. He experiences the self in himself. So, like I said, when your mind is polished and your mind is purified, your mind is clear, then naturally for you to experience the self is possible. Hari Om. Nagaraj.
Hari Om. Yes, ma'am. Hari Om. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes,
Yes.
Nagaraj.
Yes, okay. Hari Om. Yoga Yukto Visuddhatma
Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma
Vijitatma Jitendriyaha
Vijitatma Jitendriyaha
Sarva Bodhatma Bodhatma
Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma
Kurvana Pina Lipyate.
Kurvana Pina Lipyate.
Here, having mastered the body and sense organs, the pure-minded Karma Yogi becomes the Atma, which is the self of all beings. Though acting, he is not affected. So, in this verse, what I'm learning is the one line of the verse is Karma Yogi transfer or converted to Jnana Yogi. So, here, the verse explanation is Yoga Yuktaha. Yoga Yuktaka means one should become Karma Yogi first, because here the up to sixth verse, Krishna talks about the lifestyle. There is an option whether he can go to Grihastha or whether he can go to Sannyasa. But here, from this verse onwards, Krishna talks about sadhanas, which is must everyone to do. So here, first sadhana, Krishna explained this is Yoga Yuktaka. Already, Arundhati ma'am explained very well regarding Yoga Yukta. Same as I am talking about, Yoga Yukta is one should become Karma Yogi first. The Karma Yogi is one who balance materialistic pursuits and spiritual pursuits. Because why? Initially, the Grihastha should have work for his family and for him, himself. So initially, he has to make money. So following to the material pursuits and attached to the finite things, everything. So and gradually he becomes, came to know the real thing. So detached from materialism and hooked the spiritualism is the Yoga Yukta stage. This is the first stage. Next slide. So here Visuddhatma. So Visuddhatma is a pure-minded. So how we can get pure-minded? So here gradually Karma Yogi will depend less and less external factors. So we are once the Grihastha comes to the stage, he will depend less and less external factors. He knows, okay, this is not the path to Jnanam. So here, from here, we have to become less and less dependence to the external factors. So Vairagyam becomes more and more. So here Vairagyam means we have to follow spiritualism. So there is no use of continue the materialism and like that, and we have to follow the spiritualism. So that is called as Vairagyam. Vairagyam becomes more and more. After that, we will free from Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moksha, Mada, Masraya. Sorry, Moha, Mada, Masraya. Next line. Vijitatma Jitendriyaha. Vijitatma Jitendriya means one who mastered the body and mind, the sense organs. So already we know, once we become master of the body and mind, we are the Jnani. Once a person has purified and mastered his sense organs, he is qualified person for self-knowledge. He is called as Jnana Yoga Purusha. So here the Karma Yogi transferred to Jnana Yoga Purusha. Next slide, ma'am. Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma means here Karma Yogi gets converted into Jnana Yoga. So Karma Yogi irundhu Jnana Yogi அந்த இடத்துல convert ஆனதுக்கு அப்புறம் அவங்க எப்படி இருப்பாங்க அப்படின்னா ஆக்டிவ் பர்சன் டு கண்டெம்ப்ளேட்டிவ் பர்சன். ஹியர் தே கம் டு நோ த்ரீ திங்ஸ். Here Krishna mentioned only two things. That thing is coming slides. He will explain. So I am telling the two things is, one is I am the consciousness behind my body. Second, I am the consciousness behind everybody. So ஆத்மான்றது ஒண்ணுதான். அது எண்ணத்துல இருந்து என்னோட இருக்கிற ஆத்மா ஒண்ணுதான், எல்லாரோட இருக்கிற எல்லா ஆத்மாவும் ஒண்ணுதான். அதை அப்படி பார்ப்பாங்கன்னு சொல்றாரு. Finally, kurvan api lipyate. Finally, even when the body is active, he is not tainted by any actions. ஸோ கிரகஸ்தாவா இருக்கும்போது நம்ம கர்மயோகியாவும் இருப்போம், ஞான யோகியாவும் இருப்போம். ஸோ கர்மயோகின்றது ஆக்ஷன், ஞான யோகின்றது ஆக்ஷன்லெஸ். ஸோ எவ்வளோ நம்மளோட கிரகஸ்த ஞானியில when the body is active, he is not tainted by any actions. So this is the verse explanation. So finally, how the ஞானி will be. தமிழ்ல சொல்லணும்னா பக்தி, தூய்மையான ஆன்மா, மனதையும் புலன்களையும் கட்டுப்படுத்துதல், எல்லோரிடமும் ஒரே மனதோடு பிரியமாக நடந்து கொள்ளுதல், இவையெல்லாம் அனைத்தும் சேர்ந்தது ஞான யோகியினுடைய நிலைமை. ஸோ இது எப்படி நமக்கு அமையும் என்றால், நாம் ஒரு ஆன்மீகத்தின் உள் செல்லும் பொழுது, அந்த ஆன்மீகத்தை நம்ம கடைபிடிக்கும் பொழுது நம்ம அந்த நிலைமையை அடைவோம். அறிவோம். தேங்க்யூ.
தேங்க்யூ நாகராஜ்.
नैव किञ्चित् करोमीति युक्तो मन्येत तत्त्ववित्. युक्तो मन्येत तत्त्ववित्. पश्यन् शृण्वन् स्पृशन् जिह्वा. पश्यन् शृण्वन् स्पृशन् जिह्वा. प्रलपन् विश्रजन् ग्रहन्. प्रलपन् विश्रजन् ग्रहन्. इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेषु वर्तन्त इति धारयन्.
Even while seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving, reclining, breathing, talking, evacuating, opening the eyes, closing the eyes, the disciplined knower of the truth understands, I do not do anything at all, bearing in mind that the sense organs remain in sense objects. This is basically how what will the Jnani do? The Jnani will have all these kinds of regular things that we perform in life. I'll read what Aarti is given. The whole of this phenomenal world is short-lived and transient, temporary, hence illusory, like a mirage or the dream world. It is superimposed, covered through ignorance on Brahma, the embodiment of truth, knowledge, and bliss, who alone is real. Thus, distinguishing between the real and real, he who remains constantly established in identity with the formless aspect of God, the supreme reality alone is a Tattvavit and a Yukta. These two adjectives have been used to represent the true character of a practitioner following the path of knowledge. That is, he'll be like only us. But his jnani is not nothing different from us. But always, every time, even in his sleep, he'll be thoroughly conscious that in realizing the reality, that is the real, the self. He knows who he is, the Atman. But whereas, like a sleepwalker, what happens? The sleepwalker unconsciously walks in his sleep. But whereas a jnani consciously does everything, realizing the real, the self in himself. A man awakened from his dreams knows that the actions which appear to him as being performed by his body, mind, the vital air, and sense during the dream state were neither actually performed nor was he in any way connected with them. So when we are sleeping, are we breathing? Are we conscious that we are breathing? But whereas the jnani, he will be conscious of everything that is happening within him or within himself. Even so, the Sankhya yogi who knows the reality of things and remain constantly established in identity with the immutable and actionless Brahma should, while performing the various functions of seeing, hearing, etc., feel that it is the mind, the vital eyes, and the sense which are illusory by nature that are moving among the respective objects which are equally illusory. In fact, nothing is actually happening, nor is he connected with any of these in any way. புரியுதுங்களா? இப்ப நம்ம தூக்கத்துல டீப் ஸ்லீப் ஸ்டேட்ல என்ன நடக்குதுங்கிறது நம்மளுக்கு தெரியறது இல்ல. We are in bliss and ananda. That is the real state of a ஞானி. Consciously அவர் ஒரு blissல இருப்பாரு. நம்ம இருக்கிற நமக்கு like we don't know how the ananda and the bliss is. That happens only in the deep sleep state. So அந்த ஸ்டேட்டோட மைண்ட் தான் ஞானியோட nothing will affect him. Any illusionary things, nothing will never be carried away with whatever is happening around him. In the eyes of the true and genuine Sankhya yogi, the whole world is illusory like a dream. Therefore, he ceases to have any attraction for anything in this world. Now, for a yogi, everything is a dream. You are a dream. I am a dream. Everything is a dream. This whole world is itself a dream. So attraction and repulsion together disappears from his mind, and no trace is left in him of evils like lust, anger, greed, infatuation, egoism, and so on. So all these characters are not within him. Not even a trace is there within inside him. Due to difference of caste, stages, life, temperament, nature of the past, karma responsible for birth, association and habit, the activities of all Sankhya yogis are not in uniform nature. See, there are differences between the yogis itself because some yogis will be active, some yogis will not be active. We can take Ramana Maharshi, he is not a very active yogi, he always prefers to be left alone silent. But Vivekananda, was he a silent yogi? He was very open in propagating the truth, the self. So that everything, even the nature of a yogi also depends upon each individual's temperament. And he performs all actions approved by the scriptures such as eating, drinking, carrying on business, preaching, reading and writing, hearing, thinking, etc. for maintenance of his body. But does he sit in a place doing nothing? No. He eats, he sleeps, he writes, he does everything. But everything is what prescribed by the scriptures, nothing apart from it. The sense as well as the objects are products of three gunas. And gunas in their turn are evolutes of Prakriti. Prakriti's cognitive, mental, psychological and sensorial activities. Therefore, it is just the same to say the Prakriti is the doer of all actions. Or that the gunas are moving among the gunas or the sense are moving among their objects. The Lord urges on the Sankhya yogi to believe that it is the sense that are moving among their objects in each case. As in all forms of activity, it is senses that play the predominant part. The intention is to show that the Sankhya Yogi should never and not in the least degree consider himself to be the doer of the action. So Prakriti is basically our gunas, Tamasic, Rajasic, and Sattvic. So all our gunas are based on these three all our characters are based on these three gunas. But whereas Sankhya Yogi, he is apart from all this. He cannot consider that his gunas are doing. So he's a person who is most of in sattvic nature and does not relate himself to all these gunas. So the wise person way of life is talked about. He who has gone through karma yoga and he has gone through jnana yoga also, and now he is a jnani and he can either be a grihastha jnani or a sannyasa jnani. So tattvavit means jnani, yukta means an integrated person who is alert person. Being conscious of the consciousness, he always remembers what aham naiva kinchit karomi. I have got a higher self in front of which the lower I is insignificant and negligible. A jnani is a person, he can be a grihastha jnani or a sannyasa jnani. But the one important thing for both jnani is that the lower I should be insignificant and it should not be seen within himself. So he should be with the higher I. That is, he should be one with the Brahman, reaching the Brahman and merging with the Brahman. Hari Om.
அதான் ஒரு டீஷர்ட் போட்டுருக்கான். இன்சிக்னிஃபிகன்ட் ஐயெல்லாம் இருக்காங்க.
இதுதானே சொல்றேன்.
இன்சிக்னிஃபிகன்ட் இருக்குல்ல.
ஆமா.
லோவர் ஐ இஸ் இன்சிக்னிஃபிகன்ட் அண்ட் நெக்லிஜிபிள்.
ஆமா.
இன்சிக்னிஃபிகன்ட் எழுதி ஐயெல்லாம் இருக்கு. அந்த இடத்துல ஒரு கேப் இருக்கு.
ஓகே.
We remove all your low eyes, high eye will be seen.
ஆமா. ஆமா.
ஒரு இதுல டீஷர்ட் இருக்கு. இன்சிக்னிஃபிகன்ட் போட்டு சின்ன ஐயெல்லாம் இருக்கு.
ஆமாமா, நீங்க சொன்னீங்க கரெக்ட். Anaka is also not here. Akka.
Brahmanyadaya karmani.
Brahmanyadaya karmani.
Sangam tyaktva karoti yaha.
Sangam tyaktva karoti yaha.
Lipyate na sapapena.
Lipyate na sapapena.
Padmapatram nivam vasa.
Padmapatram nivam vasa. Dedicating the actions to the Lord, he who acts without attachment is not affected by the pabam, just as the lotus leaf is not wet by the water. Jnani is not free from biological pain. Jnani is free from samsara, that is psychological problem. This we can always relate with the freedom fighters. Freedom fighters, they fought not for themselves, they fought for the country. Even though they went to the jail, they arrested, they were tortured through the court. But what did they do? They came back and again fought for the country. That is because they thought only about the nation, the country alone. So the jnani is also in the same way that he thinks only about the Brahman. He sees Brahman in everyone. In every object he sees the Brahman. So jnani is basically free from samsara. That is the psychological problems. Until jnani discovers the higher abstract self, he follows world dependence to God, and God dependence is called karma yoga. That is, he will be attached to the worldly attachments. So first step he can start is getting himself attached to God dependence. That is, in everything, whatever he do, he should start seeing the God in himself. So once jnani identifies the higher abstract self, then from God dependence to self dependence is called jnana yoga. So when you start meticulously following the God dependence, definitely you will start progressing in your life. And even what one said, you should not depend on God also. you should depend on the yourself. That is the higher I. So karma yoga is only method of getting jnana, yogyata or purity. Vedanta vichara alone can give jnana. Action is done with dedication to the Lord, exclusively meant for Chitta Suddhi called Nishkama Karma. We have already seen various types of karmas. So, Nishkama Karma is helping all the five Pancha Mahayajna. That is what is being talked about. I have dedicated my action to Lord and received the same thing back as Ishvara Prasada called Sakama Karmani. So Ishvara Prasada and Prasada Buddhi is what we have, that is what we should follow. Arjuna, dedicate all your actions to Lord and give up all your concerns over the future. So in everything we do, we should dedicate our work to the Lord, and whatever the action, the fruit of action that comes from the karma we do, we should take it as Prasada Buddhi. So Papena la lipyate. He will not be affected by any pabam. The karma will not produce any pabam for Arjuna, even if there are certain defects in action. This can be compared to the lotus leaf. Lotus leaf is born in the water, grows in the water, and dies in the water, decays in the water. It takes nourishment from the water for its life. But does it allow any water to get into it, stick into it, or get into it? No. It has a wax coating over it. So a jnani should be in such a way that he can take nourishment from the society for thriving, but he cannot get attached to anything around him or the karma, or can expect any fruit of action from his karma. Hari Om.
पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः